Okie dokie. Well, that was fun and strange. All right, here we go. Let's talk about a Knicks victory that came in a season in which we are going to the playoffs and yet meant nothing on paper. And yet, I have a feeling that we're going to be able to derive a little bit of meaning from this game when we get into it because boy, um the future is bright, my friends. The future is bright. And of course, I am talking about the distant future because three young Knicks, three Knicks on rookie contracts just went out and combined for, let me see if I could do some quick math. 107 points. Did I get that right? Yeah, I think I got that right. Becoming the first Knick trio since the late 70s. Shout out Earl Monroe, Toby Knight, and Ray Williams to all score 30 in a game. Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickly, and Quentin Grimes. We're going to talk about all of them. We're going to talk about what was a fun game, an interesting game, and a game that, again, I'm not really sure what to make out of. But first, I have to call up Andrew Claudio at the top of the show to make a special announcement. Andrew Claudio, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, John. Congrats on the win. We're up to 47 wins. Who had that predicted before the season? Mensa, that's who. So shout out to Mensa. Good job on the prediction. Although they could get to 48 and 49, and you'd be wrong. But we have a special announcement for everybody. Just in time for the postseason, I'm about to drop the link as well in the chat and obviously in the description of this. For those of you watching and those of you listening, we once again have merch for the 2023 NBA playoffs, official KFS merch. If you go to our KFS merch store now, they have a sale going on this weekend, 35% off. So, take advantage of it now.
I'm pretty
New
sure
York.
Let's just say what it is. I think you could get this T-shirt for like $16 or something like
16
that. 16
is the exact number. Yeah, 16 and then plus shipping. But if you order now, I believe it's like a 5 to 8 business days wait, so you could get your merch for the postseason and have it ready for you for game one. So New York, we back in the 2023 NBA playoffs, or just in the playoffs in general. But New York, we back. Get your official KFS merch now. And then obviously once you get it, spread the word, post it on social, and we'd be happy to share your support and obviously your new swag, courtesy of your friends at KFS.
Take pictures of yourself and put it on InstaChat, and then you could email those pictures of yourself to your friends
on
Facebook.
Yes.
Did I do that right?
Close. Yeah. You nailed it, John. You nailed it.
I nailed it?
Yes.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Great.
All right.
So happy. All right. Again, I'm going to order mine tonight. I don't think I've ordered it yet, unless Andrew ordered it for me. We get to talk about a Knicks win tonight. And again, I'll say it one more time. This is going to be a confusing game for me to talk about. I sent a tweet a little while before game time that this is the first meaningless game the Knicks have played when they had already clinched a playoff spot in a decade, literally almost exactly a decade. The last time was on April 15th. 2013, when they had clinched by beating the Pacers the night before, and they had 2 games left in the season, and they played a skeleton crew. This one had a little bit of the same feel. I mean, Jalen Brunson not playing, RJ Barrett, and I think it's, I don't know if it's okay to say. Let's just say we got a little word that maybe he's not deathly ill. We'll just put it that way. RJ Barrett, not deathly ill. So, if this was a game he needed to play in, I think he would have played in it. He didn't play. And then obviously Julius Randle is still out, recovering, and we hope he gets better. Although the man that replaced him certainly did some damage tonight, but I digress. So these 3 guys weren't in there, and it would have been very easy for the Knicks to, even if they had tried it out, a starting lineup with their the next men up, which they did essentially. They started Grimes, Quickly, Hart, Robinson, and Toppin, who are the 5 you'd expect them to start. Even if they'd started those players, there certainly would have been a world in which the likes of Trevor Keels and Daquan Jeffries. And I'm fairly certain Dwayne Washington was available tonight. They signed him on a 2-way, and Jericho Sims and Miles McBride and all those sorts of Evan Fournier and all those sorts of folk, played the predominant number of minutes. And if they had done that, they would have lost this game because this spunky Pacers team, give them credit. Obviously they're sitting Halliburton. They're also sitting Miles Turner. But they're still playing Buddy Hield. They're still playing TJ McConnell. And they're still playing their young kids who have come a long way this year. And their starting lineup was all full of young, interesting players. Probably Jordan War is the least interesting of them. But Jalen Smith, the kid they got from Phoenix, Nesmith, Nemhard, Ben Mathurin. Go look at what they've been doing lately. This has been a team that is not tanking in a dispiriting way. They are not tanking like the Portland Trailblazers are tanking. They are tanking and they're giving teams fits, and they gave this Knicks team a fit tonight. And they would have won this game had the Knicks pulled the plug, let's say mid-third quarter, and your Obies and your Quicklies and whatnot, don't see the light of day after a 5-minute stint after the second half. But for the Knicks to have done that, they would have had to, before the game, fire their current head coach. Probably lock him away in a closet somewhere. You know what? Maybe lock him in a closet of a plane and then fly that plane back to New York. Because there is no universe in which Tom Thibodeau, you're going to tell him, hey, Tom, you got a bunch of young, hungry players here who people have been yelling, screaming to play more minutes for the last 3 years. There's no world where Tom Thibodeau wasn't going to be playing those guys to win this game. And sure enough, he did, because he's a crazy person. He is the most crazy person. He's the walking definition of insanity, which I love him for. Some may not. But Obi Toppin didn't sit in the second half tonight. I don't believe Quentin Grimes sat in the second half tonight. Quickly did for a little bit, and it was when the Knicks kind of barfed away their lead. Not a great look for Miles McBride or Evan Fournier tonight. 13 and 11 minutes respectively, minus 23 and minus 22. So yeah, if this was a dress rehearsal for Miles McBride to audition, for a spot in the postseason rotation, I don't know how well that went. Although I don't, frankly, as I was saying on playback, I don't know that Deuce is going to make the postseason rotation regardless. Even assuming Randall is not back. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, Tibbs went with his guys. Clearly trying to win the game. And even as I say that, the moral of this story, and I was going to say this before they won, so I have to say it because they won, whatever happened in this game wasn't going to matter. They were jacking up threes. I mean, what happened? The Knicks took 46 threes tonight, which actually nowadays in the NBA is not a lot, but they were firing away. They were playing kind of willy-nilly. There were portions of this game that resembled something closer to what you might see at a local YMCA or, at park on, what's that court on 4th Street? Whatever. You get the point. This was not, let's say, playoff intensity. But, even with that caveat and with the fact that, again, if they won this game, if they lost this game, by 30, it would be nothing to be concerned about. There is a difference between having a game where, the result doesn't matter and, the final score doesn't matter. There's a difference between that and not being able to take anything from a game. And I do think there is something very fitting about the fact that the Knicks, for the first time in more than 4 decades, think about that, more than 4 decades, had 3 players all score over 30 points, and that those 3 players were 3 guys who this organization drafted, and they are all still on their rookie contracts, and all of whom have kind of, different roles, different places within this organization. And let's just talk about him one at a time. But actually, before I talk about them, shout out to Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson had an insane game. Started out, they were giving the ball to him in the post. They were letting him go to work. Dude finished with 14 points, 16 rebounds, and 7 blocks. I don't know when's the last time a Knick finished with that stat line, but I don't believe it's been done many times. Anyway, let's start with Emmanuel Quickley. Emmanuel Quickley finished the game with 39 points, just 39, one off of his career high, 14 to 26 from the field, 7 of 13 from 3. I mean, he was their driver of offense. Obi Toppin got a lot of great looks from 3. Quentin Grimes got a lot of great looks from 3. But like Emmanuel Quickley was running the show. This was his show, and not that there should have been any doubt at this point, right? That Emmanuel Quickley had kind of outplayed his role on this team, and the fact that the Knicks get to have him as a 6th man, a guy that like is clearly overqualified for that role, even if it may be the perfect role for him on this team when fully healthy. Like, not that there should have been any doubt about that, but just like, again, I mean, how many times over the last few weeks have we said Emmanuel Quickley was the best player on the court? Now, I know that isn't that impressive in a game where the best player on the opposing team is like, I don't even know. Whatever. Not a top flight NBA player, but like, and same thing for the guys the Knicks played, but like still for him to go out there and just absolutely look the part of a guy who was just like, oh, okay, this is a game that I'm playing in. This is the talent level. I'm just going to go out there and dominate. And he did. He just went out there and dominated. Like that's really freaking encouraging. Not that we needed more encouragement about Emmanuel Quickley, but we got it because all he does is give us more and more and more. Not to be outdone, the guy that actually did have his career high, and that's Quentin Grimes. 30. How about this stat line? Quickley, I should say, 39 points, 9 assists, and 6 rebounds. Again, not a ton of guys who have done that. 2 turnovers, by the way. Jesus, this kid, he's so good. Grimes. Yes, Grimes, 36 points, 14 of 23 from the field, 5 of 13 from deep, was firing when he had a sliver of space, which is what he will like. The things that I'm looking at now over the last couple of games, not that it's going to matter because of the competition and the intensity level, but like, are the Knicks firing away without hesitation from 3? Because against Cleveland, oh boy, will they need to. Like, they just have to. That's going to be a prerequisite to win that series. If they are open, they have to shoot it. And tonight, they did that, which was great. And Grimes in particular. So he ended up, career high 36, 5 assists, 4 steals. He was everywhere on defense, albeit in a game that was a little bit more street ball style than normal NBA game. Just looked great, putting the ball on the floor, doing some different, like there. Again, we kind of talked, I think, recently, like, are we watching Grimes make the leap? I don't think this is the leap. I just think this is like slow, like this is like a slow, steady progression up. Nice gradual incline. You know, maybe there was a little pitfall here and there early in the season, but for the most part, this dude has come into the league and it's been like up, 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 up. And you're not surprised when you read an article like Jackson Frank dropped today for Uproxx Dime, and you know, you read quotes in there like the Knicks coaching staff had to tell him to stop going to the gym because he was going to the gym at night too much when he was rehabbing. Like, this dude, he is already really good and he wants to get better and he's going to put in the work to get better. And it just tonight was another piece of evidence that, like, he's got it in him to be, he's got it in him to be an elite complimentary wing in the NBA today. Like a guy who's going to start for 10 years and wherever he goes, he's just going to help teams win and do things that help teams win ball games. So great game from Quentin Grimes. And last but not least, and this of course is it's going to be the most interesting conversation of the night, and I am under no illusions that there won't be some chats, comments about how this team looks when this player is out there and this player is firing away and they are just playing willy-nilly. And that's Obi Toppin. And Obi Toppin, 32 points, Shot a dozen threes. Dude scored 32 points on 18 shots. I think at one point he had like 30 or 31 on like 13 shots or 14 shots. He missed, I think he missed his last several from three. But he really had it going for most of this night with what it was putting up an absurd stat line. Still a very good stat line. Again, 32 points on 18 shots and 6 assists. How you doing? Zach Lowe and, you know, Ian had me and Zach on the putback earlier this week, yesterday. And, you know, Zach said the same thing we've been saying for years. Like, there's a good, interesting, at the very least interesting, but probably good, almost certainly good player in there. And I think Zach said something along the lines of like, at worst, he could be a rotation big who plays 20 some odd minutes a night, you know, in the league at worst. And we say at worst because we don't really know what the at best is, because how could you possibly know what the, you know, at best is for this player when it's been the circumstance of playing behind an All-NBA player, and he's playing for a coach that just believes in rim protection. It's his basketball Bible. Chapter 1, verse 1. Protect the rim. You know, I don't know what's going to happen, because we saw this last year at the end of the season, and it didn't really, I don't know if it really made a dent in how I don't know that it made a dent in anything. And so to see a game like this is, again, definitely encouraging. The interesting conversation, though, and it's one that, like, I'm just going to say, frankly, I don't know that it's even valid, but there are obviously people who are going to talk about it, is like, you know, is there a world where just the Knicks are better served with Obi, you know, and not the guy who's about to make his second All-NBA team? Now, you say those words out loud, right? Say them out loud. The guy who made his second All-NBA team, and a guy who just put up 30 whatever points against the G League Pacers, you know, and he did whatever he did against the G League Wizards, and like, and against the Cavs, he was fine. He was okay. He had a nice stint in the third quarter. Could have argued that you could have kept him in longer, but these are not real games, really. Like, they're real games, but they're not real games. So, like, you want to be careful with drawing any conclusions, no matter how good the basketball looks at times. And again, you do say it out loud, and you're like, no, that's crazy. And yet, the reason why there will be people who hold that opinion is because if you look at this team and you think, okay, well, Jalen Brunson is the number one, and he's clearly the driver of offense. He's the engine. Well, if Emmanuel Quickley is good enough to do what he's doing, and he could be an engine for you on offense, is there a world where, you know, RJ Barrett gives you enough as a driver, you know, and whatnot, where then you suddenly, the trickle down effect is like, well, maybe you don't need that extra engine. Now, I don't believe that. I believe in the playoffs. Playoffs comes down to how good are your best shot creators versus how good are my best shot creators. And the more really good shot creators I have, the better my chances are of beating you if you don't have as many really good shot creators as I do. And Julius Randle, say what you want about the man. That man was one of the best shot creators and most efficient shot creators, and one of the toughest shot creators to deal with in the NBA this year. You could not stop him. Could not stop him when he was going. And he was going well a lot. So my take on this, with all due respect to what we saw Obi Toppin do tonight, I don't want to pour cold water on it, but like, this team still needs Julius Randle. Now, they need Julius Randle fully engaged and playing well and keyed in on defense and getting back in transition and not getting technicals and not getting in the face of referees and not getting in the face of his own teammates when they try to pull him away for those referees. They need all of those things, but they need him. They need that guy. They have to have that guy if they want to do anything in the playoffs. Because again, for as great as Brunson is for as great as Quickley is, I think if you face the number one defense in the league, which Cleveland is, and you just take Julius Randle out of the equation, even with that spark and life and different energy and verve that Obi brings into a game. I don't think that balances the scales enough. And as I say that, there's a voice in the back of my mind where it's like, you're saying all this logical shit. Do you really believe it in your heart of hearts? And then it's just, you get back how much fun it is to watch Obi play. He's just and that's the issue, right? He's just such a fun guy to watch play, and he's just such a fun guy to root for. Yeah, I don't know. Either way, fun game. I'm excited to see what people have to say, and yeah, let's get to it. So we'll do Weiss and Rosenblum personal injury report. So as always, personal injury report is presented by our friends at Weiss and Rosenblum. If you think you may have a personal injury case, call them for a free consultation, 212-366-6100. Again, that is 212-366-6100. You could also visit them at weissandrosenblum.com for more information. Consultations, again, are free. If you think you have a case, give them a call. They'll let you know if you do or you don't. And if they take your case, they do not get paid unless you do. Prior results don't guarantee future outcomes. But if you need a personal injury attorney, go with a veteran and not a rookie. Weiss and Rosenblum. Thank you as always, guys. So we do have a personal injury report. The mid three, as it were, all out. No Brunson, no Randall, no RJ. My guess is that we're not going to see Brunson for the rest of the year. What did they call it tonight? Hand injury management, I think. Whatever.
Right hand maintenance is what they call it.
Right hand maintenance. Okay. That sounds like something I need to hire a grounds crew for.
Yes.
So it's weird hearing you and I don't see you. This is so weird. The new format we have here. Anyway, yeah, right hand maintenance. They're going to maintain that right hand all the way into the playoffs, which is fine. I know Brunson said what he said a few days ago about if I could play, I want to play. Keep him in bubble wrap, please. As for RJ, I got to tell you, I wouldn't be surprised. I think we're going to see RJ again. I don't know if we're going to see him Friday. I don't know if we're going to see him Sunday. I bet you we see RJ again. And you know what? And this is the last. I should have said this up top. Like, I think there is something to like keeping these young guys sharp and getting these young guys more reps. I mean, again, the rest. Like, they don't need. They're going to have a week off. And who knows? Maybe Sunday we do get the Keels, Jeffries, Washington, whatever, battle like Sims. Maybe we get that on Sunday, right? Maybe we get that on Sunday to give these guys a full 7 days of rest, right? But like, I do think that there is something to be said for everything I said a moment ago, and like I think RJ's part of that too. Like I wouldn't kill RJ to see some balls go in the hoop before the playoffs. So I wouldn't be shocked if we saw him. But yeah, that's personal injury report presented again by our friends at Weiss and Rosenblum. Moment of the game. Need Andrew.
Right here.
Need Andrew for this one. So the lob to who threw the lob to Obi where he reached down to his waist and got it?
That was, I believe that was Quentin that did that.
That was Quentin. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a moment of the game candidate. Let's do. I'm trying to think of like there was a Grimes dunk right before that was great, but I feel weird choosing two moment of the game candidates that were both on like the end of the first quarter, beginning of the second quarter.
There's a quickly step back three.
The quickly step back three. I was just thinking.
There's a Obi 4-point play. There was a flagrant foul on it too. I gotta be honest with you. We were conversing a lot.
I know.
Listen, it's always good to get a win. I'm glad the Knicks got a W. This was truly a meaningless game. Although you haven't listened to the pregame show yet, I did find a spin zone in the way that this game is meaningful. You ready for this?
What?
So, what's Phoenix's record? 45-34.
Whatever. Okay.
So Knicks Suns in the finals.
Oh,
it's home court.
That's great. Yeah, that's a big one.
There you
Forgot
go.
about that one. Sorry about
So
that.
if you're still playing for home court in the finals against the Suns, you want
Great.
You want to have to go to Phoenix and face Kevin Durant? Or you want him to come to MSG?
Awesome.
You want no part. You can't even muster up fake.
I can't
participation
even
in this.
Not even fake.
Got it.
All right, the Obi lob. I feel like there needs to be a Mitch one in there because the Grimes to Obi get them to the quickly step back you're talking about made it 131 to 124 with 142 to go.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I really want a Mitch one in there. If we can't find a Mitch one, there was a Grimes step back that made it 127 120. That was another step back.
There's a Mitch block in the fourth quarter too, where we all yelled Blockenstein, and I forgot. Well, at least I yelled Blockenstein, forgetting that that's solely for Isaiah Hartenstein. You know,
find that one, nominate that one. The Obi dunk is going to win anyway.
Perfect.
All right, great. All right, let's get to super chats.
Let's do it.
Giddy up as I watch the Mavs, who are a bigger joke than their owner trying to backpedal and somehow excuse the organizational malpractice that he has been at the helm of for years now. What a big pile of turds the Dallas Mavericks are. Just, yeah. Anyway, I hope as I root for them, I will be rooting for the pile of turds as I watch them against the Kings in this game, and I'll keep everybody updated as I watch along. Okay, Dominic Manzi, what's going on, Dominic? A lot of discussion on Twitter sorting Knicks and Cavs players into tiers. Oh my God, we're getting started off here. Okay, would you trade Quick for Garland straight up? Oh my Lord, this is how we're gonna start tonight. So. Of course, me being a Knicks fan and me being a guy who has said several times that Emmanuel Quickley is either my favorite or second favorite Knick. It's between him and Jalen Brunson. Like, my heart wants to be like, no, I would not trade Emmanuel Quickley for Darius Garland. And at the same time, I say that, and like, Darius Garland made the All-Star team last year as what was he, 22? I think. Was he 22, 23? Something like that. Whatever. He's a kid. And then on top of that, he talk about leadership, willingly took a step back. And Donovan Mitchell's coming in and be like, okay, it's your team now. And like, everybody praises Dwayne Wade for that. Dwayne Wade already had fucking all kinds of all NBA accolades and like being the best player on a championship team, arguably, either him or Shaq, but I'd give it to Wade, under his belt. Like, him doing that at that point in his career, that's not a big deal. What Darius Garland did, that's leadership. That's selflessness. That's team first stuff right there. You know, I think if there is my inclination is to just say Garland, like is the better player. If there's an argument for Quickley, though, I think it has to be that his defense is so much better than Garland's, which it is, without question. There's no question about that. And it may be a lot better. That, like, whatever you want to say about Garland's offense, and like I was looking it up today, I think Garland's in the 90s in terms of pull-up threes. But quickly after tonight, he's going to be above 70 or around 70. On less minutes for less opportunity generally because he doesn't have Garland's usage. So like, all right, well, you know, if Quickley and him are like kind of equal pull-up shooters, the thing where Garland just has Quickley, and I say this as I think back to at least two passes that Quickley made tonight, which were just like mind-blowing passes, amazing passes. Garland as a passer he's not Trae Young, but he's like a level down from that, but he is unbelievable as a passer. I think he's shooting around like 50% from the short mid-range, 48%, something like that. He's really good from the short mid-range. He's just such a good playmaker. And he can penetrate and he can penetrate because the pull-up is dangerous, and he's a dangerous catch and shoot guy. The best compliment I can give Emmanuel Quickly is that I've hemmed and hawed about this for 5 minutes. And I feel like the right answer is Garland. And yet, as I say that, I don't even know if I fully believe it. Again, because Quickly's defense is so good and so impactful. And he's also like, I have complete trust in Emmanuel Quickly as a big game player in this city, in New York. And that is not for everybody. So I don't know. Maybe Garland by a nose, but I don't feel great about it. Thanks, Dominic, for starting us off with that doozy. My God, I hope they get easier from here. Jesse M., what's going on, Jesse? I choose to live in a world where Obi Toppin becomes a star after the Knicks do the right thing and sell high on Randall at the 2020 deadline. So you're going back in time for this one. It's just, look, I don't know how many different ways I could repeat it. He is a guy who potentially could be one of the best players in the league at taking advantage of any slivers or cracks in the defense through his movement, through his energy, through his skill, through his finesse, through all of those things. Julius Randle creates advantages. Obi Toppin, in the traditional sense, does not create advantages. All of the things I mentioned a moment ago are ways of creating advantages, but they are not in the typical NBA sense. And to say that he could be a star doing that, I don't know. I don't know that. But again, you choose to live in this world, so that's fine. And I would not blame anybody who chooses to live in this world. That said, again, and this is what I want to really, and I was the one who went on the little rant, so I have no one to blame but myself. But I think we do need to ease up on the Randall erasure, I guess. I don't know. That dude was incredible for us this year. Incredible. Thanks, Jesse. Dominic with another one. Showcasing Obi's value was an underrated aspect of clinching early. I don't know. Again, I'll do my second Zach Lowe shout out of the first 33 minutes. Just like no team should be determining what they do with one of their own players in the last couple weeks of a season, and he was saying this in the context of RJ Barrett. I don't think any other team should be looking at what a player is doing in the last couple weeks of a regular season and making determinations based on that. And I don't think any team is. I think third reference, like Zach said, anytime you got a guy that's been picked this high and has not been a complete and total bust, you're going to have front offices around the league who are going to look at him and be like, I wonder what he could look like here. And I think that's absolutely the case with Toppin. But I think that would have been true probably even before, today's game or the Washington game and whatever he's going to do in the last two games. Thanks, Tom. Robert Cross, first time, long time, John. Do you think here we go. Do you think the Knicks have a greater ceiling if Obi's in the starting five? Thanks. I'll hang up and listen. Hashtag 53 wins. You made it easy for me, Robert, because no, I don't think they have a greater ceiling. I think their best ceiling is easily, without question, without Julius Randle in there. If you give me the best version of Julius Randle, and I'm not talking about the 57 points, I'm just talking about take his best 30 games this year and give me the average median performance level of those 30 games. If you give me that version of that guy with Jalen Brunson and the rest of this team doing what it's doing, I absolutely think this team could, if with the right matchup, can make a run to the Eastern Conference Finals without question. So you want to talk about ceilings? There's your ceiling. I think the ceiling of a team with Obi in place of Randle in the starting five, and Randle, I guess, would not even be here because you're not bringing Randle off the bench. I think the ceiling of that team is maybe if a lot of stuff broke right, maybe they win a first-round series, maybe. And I don't know if it's coming against this Cavs team. And you continue to underrate them, Robert, but just be careful, man. Jesse with another one. Obi's starter numbers are what they are, John. Listen, you can't do that. Can't do that. Context. His numbers as a starter have come in games largely, not all, largely, that do not matter. And when a player, I don't know this for a fact because God knows I've never played any kind of advanced athletic competition, but I have to imagine when a player knows that he's going out there and there are essentially no consequences, not no consequences because God knows Obi knows if he dogs it on defense, doesn't matter who the hell isn't playing, he's going to get his ass yanked. But like in terms of like if he makes a shot, misses a shot, it's not going to affect their playoff position. It's not going to affect like whether they're going to win a playoff game or something like that. That has to matter. Yeah, he was firing away out there like he had no conscience tonight. Like, would he be doing that? Like, if this is game one of a playoff game and he's in there, in place of Julius Randle, I don't know. Look, the numbers are good, and like you can't put up the numbers unless you have some modicum of skill. But like, history is littered with guys who have, over the course of the last 10, 15, 20 games of NBA seasons, exploded and put up big time numbers. Now, I'm not saying that you throw him out for Obi, but like you can't look at his starter numbers and be like, see, this is what he would do as a starter if he was given the full-time opportunity. That's crazy talk. Thanks, Jesse. Busy. Jesse, it isn't too late to sell high on Randall before he turns back into a pumpkin. It also isn't too late for Obi to be our starting power forward. This is why you can't. Again, it's a meaningless game. It's a meaningless game. The performances are meaningless, but you cannot draw these sorts of conclusions about a game like this. You just can't do it. You can't do it. And I know it's not all about this game. I know that. We've watched Randall for 4 years. The body of evidence is what it is. The concerns are what they are. As I said to Fred today on the pod, the notion of being so willy-nilly with an all NBA I don't think people fully grasp sometimes the achievement it is to be named one of the 15 best players in your sport in a given year. That is so hard. And yet he's going to do it, and he will have earned it because I watched that man like look like he was the best player in basketball at times this year, or at the very least one of the 5 most talented offensive players in basketball at many times this year. Now, is there a world where it does not make sense to continue to build around him if your goal is to win a championship? Yes, absolutely. I will be the first person to acknowledge that. That's not what I'm saying here. But to be like, see, this to me is like, what I get accused of with wanting to send RJ down the river. This is now the flip side of that, except one guy has largely been not very good, and the other guy again is about to make a second All-NBA team. So I can't with that line of thought. Robert with another one. It's your boy John. Do you agree with Mensa and I that the Knicks are going to beat Cleveland in 5 games? Join us. #53wins. Absolutely not. 6, I guess, is possible. At this point, my personal opinion, if you gave me the option to like sign on the dotted line, this series is going 7 games. You could sign right here. It's going 7 games. You don't know what the outcome is going to be, but it's going to get to a 7th game. I would sign for that. I have too much respect for what Cleveland does. I was watching a bunch of clips today of Donovan Mitchell just absolutely rip defenses, new asshole after new asshole. That dude is unbelievable. And speaking about Darius Garland, he has relegated Darius Garland to a number 2, which is just frightening. And like I understand that their small forward depth is what it is, and it's not great. Well, then I went up and looked at Isaac Okoro's numbers this year, and I noticed that, like, oh, wait a minute. No, the shooting numbers aren't nearly as bad, and they're not bad, but they are actually much better than they seem, because this dude didn't make a three-pointer for the first 12 games of the season. And then the next, I think, 12 or 15 or some odd games after that, he was shooting like 22% from three. But over the last like 50 games, Isaac Okoro's shooting like 42, 43%. And all he needs to do is stand there in the corner, and those are the only threes he takes. If he can make corner threes at a 40+% clip, because guess what, Robert? The Knicks are giving him those shots because they're going to have to, because there's no other way to defend this team. They're just a scary team. They're just a scary team, and there's a reason they're the 7th best offense in the league, and there's a reason that they are the best defense. And that is because they know what they want you to do, and they will make you do what they want you to do, which is challenge us at the rim if you want. Best rim protectors in the league. Number 1 field goal percentage against at the rim in basketball. Numero uno. And then guess who gives up less threes than anybody in the league? Cavs. So can't take threes against them. Can't make shots at the rim against them. Makes life kind of tough. They're a bear. They're a bear. Give me 7 games and let the chips fall where they may. Robert with another one. Is it fair and reasonable to say, or first time, long time, John, is it fair and reasonable to say that IQ has the potential to be a superstar? If so, I'm going to search my DMs to you from a couple years ago. Hashtag 53 wins. You love doing this to me. I think I've already called him a star. I think he's a star player. Superstar is a little bit rich for my blood, but because I don't ever really think that there's more than like 5 of those guys in the league at any one time. But maybe not 5, maybe 5 to 10. But then again, I did call Jalen Brunson a superstar recently, didn't I? So I might have. No, quickly he's a star. Quickly he's a star. For doing semantics. Quickly he's a star. Thank you, Robert. Juanon, F Reggie. That's it. That's the super chat. F Reggie then, F Reggie now, and F Reggie forever. Amen to that. It never gets old beating the Pacers. I love beating the Pacers. TJ McConnell is the new Reggie Miller for me. He's a pest. I wish he was on my team, but yeah, he's a pest. He was really good tonight. And yeah, screw Reggie Miller. Thank you, Juanon, as always, man. Appreciate you. Dan Hidalgo. I just don't think you could trade Grimes or IQ regardless of who is available. That is a starting backcourt, and who knows how high that ceiling is. I'll give you this. I think it's a starting backcourt on, I'm assuming you mean on like a title team. I think it's a starting backcourt if you got the right wings and or the right center. Yeah, I think that's their ceiling for sure. I think that's their ceiling. Now, I just don't think you could trade them regardless of who's available. That's where it's a little bit, again, too rich for my blood because, look, the Knicks are in a great position, and I thought that was a great line today on the Hoops Collective podcast with Brian Windhorst, and I forget who it was. It was Nick Friedel, and it wasn't Ben McMahon. Hold on, I'll look it up right now. It was Nick Friedel, and it was another guest. And they were talking about the Knicks versus the Cavs in this series that is coming up. And one of the guests, I think it was Friedel, made the point that even with all of Cleveland's talent and with Cleveland's net rating and the whole thing, he'd rather have the Knicks' future. Or the Knicks, like, he'd rather be the Knicks than the Cavs, basically. And I agree with that. I don't think that's a hot take either, because the Knicks have all these assets. But the reason that people are saying that is because, like, they have the assets to get the guy. And you still need the guy. Now, if the guy becomes available, are you going to turn around and be like, well, we really want him, but we're going to give away all the draft picks. We're going to give away RJ Barrett. We're going to give away, we'll give you Obi Toppin, and that's it. And then some other team is willing to go higher than that. And you're looking at it and you're like, okay, well, we know if we trade for this player, it makes us a contender. And we know if we don't trade for this player, we are still not a contender. What do you do? What do you do if you're the general manager of a team that has not won a championship in 50 years? Since then. Last time. Saying no to those sorts of trades, having the luxury to say no to those sorts of trades, that's a luxury you have when you draft a superstar. And you know you've drafted a superstar, and you have assets to work with, and you can be a little picky and choosy. The Knicks are not in that position, unfortunately. And trust me, the last thing I want to do is throw cold water on this stuff. I'd love to just be, heave ho. Yes, never trade quickly, never trade Grimes. I don't want to trade them either. I want these guys to retire as Knicks. It's just, man, it's just tough. There's going to be difficult choices coming up. I'll say this: I at the very least, I want to keep one of them, like for the long term, And I really don't want to give up both. Like again, is there a part of me that this is what I'll give you. This is what I'll give you, Dan. Is there a part of me that hopes that no true blue superstar comes on the market this summer, thus like enabling the front office to be like, oh, well, now we can't put Grimes or Quickly on the table because that super duper star didn't make themselves available, and the players that are available, the lesser tier of stars, it's not worth it for us to give up Grimes or Quickly. That I hope that happens. That's what I want in my heart. That's what I want to happen. I don't know if it's the logical decision, but that's what I want to happen. Thanks, Dan. Justin, will IQ's extension money top RJ's extension? Well, again, sorry to do it yet again, but I'll just lean on. I asked this to Zach because Zach Lowe, he talks to God knows a lot more people than I have access to. And I asked him, I was like, we've been talking about Quickly's extension number as a number in terms of 4 years, 4 years total money as something that starts with a 1, meaning $100 million, north of $100 million. And his response to me is that is an offer that would be at least taken as a serious negotiating starting point with Quickly's representatives. Which, by the way, is different than like, oh, yeah, I think that would get him. No. I think Zach chose his words carefully, which is like, that gets you, that's like a respectable offer. They're coming back to the table. They're staying at the table. They're not leaving the table with that offer. So by that verbiage, then yeah, I think the answer is yes. I think the extension tops RJ's extension. Maybe not by much, but I think it does at this point. Andrew Palladino, what's going on, Andrew? New York should rest Mitch the last two, so he can go post on his OnlyFans. Seriously though, he's as important to the team in the playoffs as anything else, i.e., Noel Gibson in 2021. Mitch was really good tonight. He's not as important to them as anybody else, but Jalen Brunson's the most important player in the playoffs to them. And I would argue Quickly is second. And then I think, here's the thing. They need all of these guys. Like I was going to say, maybe Mitch is in contention for third, but like I believed what I said about Julius Randle before. I think they need Julius Randle. I think Randle has an argument for being second, maybe even ahead of Quick. And then you get into like, well, is Mitch more important than Grimes when they don't have another shooter who fires away like Grimes? Like, I don't know. Look, Mitch is very important to them. And I said it like a month ago, and I'll say it again now. If Mitchell Robinson comes out of the Cleveland series as the best big man in the series, the Knicks are going to win the series. And there is zero question in my mind about that. Because if he comes out of the series as the best big man in the series, that will mean that he will be at his best corralling the Cleveland pick and roll. And I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm writing about something about this for next week. With the threat of Donovan Mitchell's pull-out three-pointers, not to mention the threat of Darius Garland's pull-out three-pointers, and how good those guys are with the ball, and how good of passers those guys are, with the Josh Harts and the Quentin Grimes and the Emmanuel Quicklys of the world having to go over the top of the screen for all of those guys. If Mitch could corral those pick and rolls and corral that penetration and guard 2-on-1 while the defender gets back in the play and guard it in such a way that, like, you need to be so good to guard those because both of those guys are freaking amazing in the short mid-range. If he could do that, to say nothing of, like, potentially bothering passing lanes at the same time, because that's the other thing they're great at doing is kicking out to the corners. If he could do all that, I don't even give a shit what he does on offense. I don't care what he does on offense. And he's going to do stuff on offense and the offensive rebounding and all that. So, like, you have a point, that he's super, super important. They need that from him if they're going to win the series. I believe that. They need that from him. They need him to be at that level to win the series. So I wouldn't mind them putting him bubble wrap the next two games. Robert Cross with another one. It's your boy John. Mitchell Robinson is my favorite Knick. He was excellent tonight. Defense deserves flowers. Thanks. I'll hang up and listen. Well, I just waxed poetic about him, so I don't have much more to say other than it was nice to see him get an opportunity to do some stuff with the ball. Ball security is an issue, but I can't blame him because he's never gotten these sorts of opportunities before. I love Mitch. I love Mitch not only because he's really good and because he's a really funny dude and because he does really genuinely care about doing the right things and does the right things when he's on the court. But, like, the concept of a long-tenured Knick that you were happy about being a long-tenured Knick, that concept has ceased to exist since the 90s. And Mitch has been here. This is his fifth year. He's obviously going to finish the year here. I mean, look, we'll see what happens this summer. But he's been here for a half a decade, and he's been good, and he's given us so much excitement, and he's been a really good Knick, and he's been a Knick that I'm going to remember for a long time. And again, I've teased it a few times. I think I'm going to re-rank some of my, like, replace current Knicks into my Knicks all-time top 75 the list I did throughout last year. Mitch is going to be up there. He has to be. Not like in the top 20, but, like, he's going to make. He wasn't even. I don't even know if he was on the list before. I think if he was on the list, he was low. I think Mitchell Robinson is the top 50 Knick ever, for sure. Thanks, Robert. Hannibal Miles, what's going on, Hannibal? It feels really good when anyone on your team could light it up on any given night. Yeah, it's. There are not many teams in the league, I think, who really, between Brunson, Randall, RJ, Quickly, I'm going to, again, with Obi, like the style of that, it was such a backyard or, like, again, like YMCA style of game. It just lent itself so much to Obi Toppin's skill set. So I can't put him in here, but Grimes, I can put him in here. Like, Grimes is the guy who we've seen. Like, think back to the Dallas game, the game in Dallas, which, like, nobody remembers what Grimes did in that game. That was Grimes' career high before coming into tonight, and he surpassed it tonight. That Dallas game, what he did in that Dallas game, and now what he's done now over the last 7 games, averaging, what is he averaging over the last 7 games? Is he averaging 23, 24 points now? Something like that? That's, and how he's achieving these points? Again, I'm going to get myself into trouble here, but I'll do it anyway. He doesn't have this player's length. He doesn't have this player's height. And I don't even think he flashed this player's creation skills in college, because this player flashed a little bit of creation in college, and we're obviously seeing, oh boy, are we seeing that big time now. I didn't even see what he got tonight. I'm talking about Mikal Bridges. Like, is he on the Mikal Bridges track? Quentin Grimes. Again, I wish he was a little bit taller and a longer wingspan, because there are just certain guys in the NBA that he's not going to be able to guard, period, and even like bother, because he's 6'4", 6'5". He's really good. I'm so excited for him moving forward. Something happened in the Pelicans-Memphis game. Andrew, I don't know if you want to pop it on here. I've had the Dallas Kings game on because it's a 1-point game in the fourth quarter. But, like...
What do you mean?
I don't know. Timmy Bontemps just sent out back-to-back tweets about something that's going on. And, like, the Pelicans pulled off a big comeback, and now it might not be a big comeback because something might be happening in that game at the end. I don't know. Anyway, I
no idea.
It's neither here. I think the game's over. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to distract you on that.
You're good. Distractions are fine. They make for great podcasts / live streams.
Wonderful. Brian Benjamin, still got my Obi stock. How about you? I don't think I ever sold my Obi stock. At the same time, like I've never been as all in on Obi Toppin as everybody else. So like whatever stock I had, I still have. I like him. I like him as a player. I still think he needs to prove himself a little bit more on. There were 2 things he needed to prove coming into this year. He needed to prove the shot was real, and that's one thing I'll say. I've always believed in the shot, and I obviously still believe in the shot now. So the shot's real, and the defense. Can the defense come around in a significant enough way where he could be on the floor at the end of a big game, and his coach trusts him? And I'm not talking about Tibbs. This would be any coach. I think any coach would have a tough time trusting him defensively right now, in a big spot. Can he ever get to that level? I think he probably can. I don't know if he's there right now, though. Christian Finnegan, what's going on, Christian? I don't want to pile the guy, but watching IQ Grimes Obi going crazy in the fourth and then cutting straight to an MSG promo featuring RJ was something. Yeah, look, I don't know. I hope RJ has the best postseason of his life, which wouldn't be that hard because he's only been in one postseason before and wasn't very good. I said before, if Mitchell Robinson is the best big man in the Cleveland series, they're going to win that series. If RJ comes out of this Cleveland series and, I need to eat crow in a significant way, that, again, they're winning that series. They just are. And he's capable of it. So let's see it. There you go. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? Shout out to you, one of our newest patrons. A belated we back for the playoffs. I will take 3 of those shirts, please. I love this team, but I have a feeling New York will push for OG this summer. He's a clean fit in a lot of ways. Yeah, he's clean fit in a lot of ways. And I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Look, they're not going to sit on their hands. We know they're not going to sit on their hands. They're just not. So it's a matter of who, not if. Thanks, Tom. Ryan Menzies. Knicks draft picks going off tonight. Look how far we've come. Yeah, man. When you first wrote that, I was like, wait a minute. Did like Kevin Knox do something? And I was like, oh, wait a minute. You mean our draft picks who are still on this team? Oh my God, Memphis tied it somehow at the end. That's what he was talking about. What happened?
Focus.
Sorry. Listen, I'm an NBA fan. I'm a Knicks fan first, but I'm an NBA fan like right next to how much I'm a Knicks fan.
And we love your love for the NBA. Yes.
Jaren Jackson Jr. made 2 free throws with 0.1 seconds remaining. I don't know why he took those free throws, but whatever. That was a thing that happened.
I guess
Anyway.
we should also update for those who care about the game that actually affects the Knicks. The Mavericks are up by 4 in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes left against the Kings.
Yeah, that's the game that I actually have on.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll focus on that one. We'll just try that for a little bit.
I
see
love
how that works out.
Like there have been people in my life that have patronized me. No one has done it as successfully and in a way that makes me feel about this big.
I do
as
it with
Andrew
love,
Claudio.
though. Come on.
I know,
Come
and that's
on.
because you're a holy man.
Yeah.
You're a holy man, which is what makes it worse.
It's making a joke out of our mistakes. I expect you to do the same for me.
This is not. It's you have gotten a bigger shovel alongside one of those, not a dump truck, bulldozer. There
Yes.
you go.
Just pouring more and more dirt on this grave. Exactly.
Let's keep it going. CT Pittman, the kids. That's it. That's the tweet. There you go. I love it. Yeah, good spot. Here's the thing, right? Let me just say this real quick. Oh, Jibo, why don't we just keep Obi as our backup power forward again? I'm going to answer this question in a second. The fact that we're having these conversations, as I just noticed, Chicago either lost or is losing, so that's good for the Mavs pick. The fact that we're having these conversations and we're going to probably, if I had to guess, get into vehement arguments this summer about who should be on the table in a trade, and if they're on the table in a trade, what would need to be netted in that trade for the trade to be worth it for whoever we're trading for, this, that, and the other thing. The fact that we're having these discussions, oh my God, compare that to where this franchise was 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, or 5, or 8, or 10, or 12, or 15, or 5. Like, man, night and day. And they are in such a good spot because with the picks and these young players and like the fact that they have great stars already here, what a luxury. Now, as far as keeping Obi as our backup power forward, I think it's complicated for a couple reasons. For one, he has to want to stay here. And like, if Julius Randle, if you're Obi Toppin, now it's here's why the other part that's complicated. Obi Toppin is the same agent as Julius Randle, not the exact same agent. I believe Leon's Chris would know this. I think does Leon's son represent Obi as well as, I know he represents Jalen. I think he represents Obi too. But whatever, CAA reps Julius, so like same agent. But like, if you're Obi and you know Julius ain't going nowhere, like, what do you want to stay here? Which then leads to the next question of like, okay, if you're the Knicks and you are paying Jalen Brunson, who's going to need to be extended at some point, and Julius Randle, theoretically, who's going to need to be extended at some point, and Emmanuel Quickley, who I just talked about getting a $100 million contract, and RJ Barrett, who is either going to stay here or get traded for another player who makes a shit ton of money, and Quentin Grimes is going to need to get paid. It's like, you're paying all these guys, so what are you paying a backup power forward who's going to play 12 to 14 minutes on most nights and maybe even less in the playoffs? Like, you're not offering that guy a lot of money, which then goes back to the Obi question. Like, okay, now, Obi, do you want to stay here for not a ton of money and not a big role? So all of this is coming to a head because Obi Toppin is extension eligible this summer. And while you can certainly get value trading a guy who is has impending restricted free agency, which he will have next year, like, you're like, the clock is ticking. The clock's ticking. Can they keep him as their backup power forward next year? Yeah, they could do it next year. But past that, and then if you keep him past next trade deadline, well, then you're looking at a really interesting situation because, okay, you extend the qualifying offer. But if someone makes him a big offer and you don't feel you don't want to pay that much money for a backup power forward, well, then you lost them for nothing. So like these are things that you, as an organization, you have to plan for, not 6 months from now, but today. And this whole little conversation that I just had with myself is why, a part of the reason why they explored trades for Obi Toppin at the deadline. Now, I say explored trades. I don't know what the hell they talked about, but I know there were discussions had because that was reported. And it was reported that the difference between what the Knicks were asking for and what people were offering was like the size of a chasm. And that is not shocking to me because Worldwide West really wanted Obi Toppin here, and Worldwide West still is in love with Obi Toppin. And he's not willing to give up on that yet. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Hush Zoo. What's going on, Hush? So proud of everyone in the starting lineup. If we never got Josh Hart, do you think this team is the 8th seed? The best glue guy in the league? Oh, that's a great question. Andrew, do you know offhand what they are with Josh Hart? I want to say they're 17 and something, 18 and something.
As far as record goes?
Record goes.
Give me 20 seconds. I could find out. I actually just looked this up yesterday for a pregame pod.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I heard you say this at some point. I'm just thinking in terms of like what games would they have lost if Josh Hart wasn't here, and what?
Every close game.
It feels like there's like 3 or 4 games out there that would not have gone their way. I mean, that's how impactful.
There's 17-7 since the Josh Hart trade.
Yeah, so if you flip that to, let's just be generous and say 14-10.
I'd go even more than that.
I think the right answer is more than that, but let's be for the spirit of the question, let's lowball it, right? And so they have 3 fewer wins right now. So that's 43 wins, right?
I think to Hush's question, I think they are fighting with Miami for 7-8.
I think they're fighting with Miami for 7-8.
Because look, I also without Josh Hart.
But hold on, wait. Because then Brooklyn would be 5. So then they'd be fighting. Yeah, fighting with Miami for 6-7.
So 6-7, and then ahead of Atlanta. We'd be looking at Atlanta in the play-in game.
Because even if you let's take away 5 wins and go to 42 and 38, we'd still be sitting here with 2 games to go, 1 game ahead of the Hawks. With the tiebreaker, I don't know what the tiebreaker situation would be with the Hawks, but I think they'd be in that. I think they'd probably wind up 7th.
I should add, by the way, they're 17-7 since the trade. They're 17-6 with Josh Hart because Hart didn't play that
in
first
the Philly game.
So, look, I wonder if they win the Philly game if they have Josh Hart. But that's how, to Hush's point, that's how impactful.
You could flip. You could flip a Miami game, maybe. I say 7th. That's what I say. I say 7th.
Yeah, your 7th guy right now. You argued, depending on what Hartenstein has been this season, your 8th guy is Josh Hart. That's a massive uptick in talent, and it's why they're the 5 seed, and it's why they're going to give Cleveland a run for their money, if not win the series.
And you know what? Take emotion out of it because we are, God knows, we here in New York are in love with this team.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not in a position to judge. But I bet if you went around to 30 GMs and you're like, would you give up the 22nd pick in the draft to get out of the play-in and get, at the very least, a hard-fought first-round series? I bet you most GMs would say yes.
Best way
almost regardless
progress.
Of what? Yeah.
Best way to show progress of your team is that you're winning games.
Yeah.
And Knicks, which is, again, we'll see what happens with this Dallas pick. It may end up working out for them that they were able to make a trade like that, and they still have a top 11 pick in this draft.
But sorry, not to nitpick. one thing doesn't really have anything to do with the other because
no, I'm just literally saying this is how good of a job this front office has done that they didn't like. Well, we can trade the pick, but once we do, we're out of this year's draft.
What you did by trading for Hart, and this is going to sound fucked up, you took away the option of like they were never going to tank the season, but you took the possibility of your own pick, of not only keeping your own pick, but your own pick falling to, let's say, they dropped to the play-in and maybe they lost to the Hawks, and then maybe they want to like that pick being like 16 or something, right?
Imagine if they still had their pick, had never traded for Josh Hart, and they were like a 500 team, and then the Julius situation happened in Orlando. The vibes, like the direction they'd be heading right now. But that's where Josh Hart and the stability of this team is shown,
And go a step further. And this is the unfortunate reality, and people may disagree with this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't know if I've ever made this point. Narrative matters so much more when you do not have that superstar in-house, because you do need to sell yourself around the league. And I believe that, and that may be an unpopular opinion. So for that reason, on top of everything else, you trade the pick 7 days a week and twice on Sunday.
I don't disagree about the narrative point, by the way. It's not, I don't think it matters as much because like the Knicks narrative in particular gets twisted so much because of the way this team gets covered in certain ways.
But they also get discussed. Like they were a huge talking point on several national pods,
But I'm saying like things can be going good and then the other thing gets brought, like a thing that has nothing to do with the team gets brought up.
And this helped avoid that.
Yeah.
And let's
not pretend we can talk about it now. Let's not pretend in the midst of this fun season an incident with the owner did not come up, is my point. Like that did become a talking point for like
I'm going to push back again. The fact that they are playing well and winning games, which Josh Hart contributes, helped stymie that nonsense.
We're agreeing more than we're disagreeing.
We're agreeing completely.
The Mavericks owner just like in theory nuked his franchise in this upcoming offseason because of his pettiness and frustration that he lost Jalen Brunson this offseason. Like the showing of text messages to the media. Like imagine Dolan does that. Now shout out to Dubin, who made the great joke. What? Imagine Dolan talking to the media? Never. Like, yes, that is a hilarious joke. But also, like, this is why winning, you're able to do stuff like this, and the stuff gets thrown under the rug. Like, that's where it's less about your narrative. Like, we were upset that the narrative was happening around the Knicks when they were a 17-win team. And it's like, why do you talk about the Knicks this way? It's like, because they're kind of a mess.
Because they're ass.
Yeah. Now they're playing well, and they're getting respect to a degree that's I think worthy of how they've played, and we'll see if a playoff series win adds that as well. So,
well, that would be big.
I cannot believe I'm saying this, but Kyrie Irving's going off, and I'm so happy right now.
Kyrie,
shout out to Dallas, and what looks like it's gonna. Let's hold on and win this game, but
Kyrie, huge corner three just now to put the Knicks.
Might as well be the Knicks because the Maverick season doesn't matter. This is a Knick game at the moment.
The Mavs up 120-114. They have the ball back after Sabonis missed something under the basket. Okay, let's keep it going.
1 second. It jumped on me.
Take your time.
Oh, no. Here we go.
Harry Donor. Thank you, Harry. Always appreciate you, man. Thank you for your generosity.
And there you go.
Brian Lest. What's going on, Brian? There's so much to talk about what the first round means for the New York Knicks. How about for Cleveland? Absolute must win. Imagine giving up those assets and losing to the team that didn't. It's funny. I was writing today. I'm going on vacation. I'm leaving tomorrow to go away for a week. I'll be back next Thursday. And I've been trying to do a lot of writing over the last several days so that I could take some time and chill out with my family in Florida. And I was writing a thing on Joel Embiid and how he's the most interesting. Like, if you're a Knicks fan and you're watching the playoffs, as Dallas is now up 9 with under a minute to go, If you're a Knicks fan and you're watching the playoffs, I would argue that the Sixers and Joel Embiid is the most interesting situation to keep an eye on. And I was writing, like, if he was ever made available in a trade, how, like, the Knicks would have a lot of competition, obviously. And I thought to myself, could you imagine if the Cavs lost the first round series to the Knicks? Would they be emboldened? Let's just say whether it's Embiid or some others, like there's not many superstars of his caliber, but like a super duper 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 star came on the table. Would the Cavs like break up their core and trade, I don't know, two, maybe through all three of like, the Mobley, Garland, Jared Allen? That's a lot of money between Garland and Allen. Oh, Mobley hasn't gotten paid yet, but like I guess my point is that I agree with you. It would be a really bad look for Cleveland, but at the same time, they do, if they were ever willing to like break up this foursome, they do have a pivot. Like I know they don't have a small forward, and I know they are out all of their picks, but like they do, let's not pretend that like they don't have a pivot. Now, I'm sure that is a pivot that they would like to avoid, but to your point, would it be a must-win series for Cleveland? I don't know. I'm trying to think if I was a Cavs fan, would I feel it's a must-win series?
I can kind of tell you now, they don't feel it's a must-win series. It's a series they should win. It's not. They were never looking at this season as like good. They're gonna be in the finals,
But my pushback to that is like, okay, I get it. You're banking on Mobley being KG in 2 years, right? Or 3 years. Well, a lot of shit could happen in 2 or 3 years,
You're right.
So like I don't know.
And Donovan Mitchell's 26.
He is, and he also is not guaranteed to be here for the long term. To be in Cleveland for the long term.
That I think is more the gamble you're playing with Cleveland, is that when you make a trade like that, you're assuming, all right, we got him, he's in the door, he's here for the next decade. And which, if we were the Knicks and you make that trade, it's a safer gamble. Like as more picks become available to make trades, it's easier to make that type of gamble. If you're Cleveland, it's different. And you may only have a 3-year window to do this, so you better hope that. I think from talking to the chase down guys, they really looked at next year when potentially Philly breaks up and potentially the Bucks start to get older. That's the chance. That's the path to them to be like a 2 seed that sneaks their way into a finals one year.
Yeah, and I don't, and that the aging of the Bucks could be that could be a thing. Dallas won, by the way.
Yes, they did. Shout out Kyrie Irving. We thank you for your service.
Seriously. Man, Mavs are alive. Okay. Jacob Slava, what's going on, Jacob? This is why we are an Eastern Conference Finals dark horse. Deepest team in the league. Thanks for everything this season. You guys have really killed it. Here's to the playoffs. Thank you, Jacob. Appreciate that, man. I want to say something on that because people talk about depth. I think it reminds me of the 3-and-D conversation, which came up with Reggie Bullock a couple of years ago, where it's like we really need to have different categories of 3-and-D, because there's like guys who can just shoot threes and play good, solid, maybe on-ball defense. And then there's guys who are like, or maybe just off-ball defense. And then there are guys who are solid on and off-ball defense. And not only can they hit threes, but they could put the ball on the floor. They could attack closeouts. They could make the right pass off of those closeouts and the whole thing. Why am I going on this diatribe? Because I think depth is a term that there can really be layers to. And like I'm going off on a little tangent here, but I was like looking it up today. Like the Knicks, hold on, I went through this. The Knicks, among the top 50 3-point shooters in the league, and I'm going to make a point here, I promise. Not 3-point shooters, pull-up 3-point shooters. Very specific. Pull-up, not catch and shoot. Pull-up 3-point shooters. The Knicks have three. Not only do the Knicks have three of the top 50, and there are only three teams that have three players in the top 50: New York, Golden State, and Boston. But the Knicks have three of the top 35. Now, they don't have anyone in the top 20. All of their players that they have in the top 35, Randall, Brunson, quickly, are between, I think, Randall's like 20. He probably moved down now, but Randall's at like 25. Brunson's just below that, and then quickly is maybe a little bit higher now, but he's whatever in the like 32, 33, 34 range. So like they don't have anybody elite, but they have three guys that you as a defense have to honor when they're pulling up from three. And I think about their depth in that way, in that it's like we talk about depth sometimes, and the quality of that depth gets lost in the conversation. And I think maybe that conversation came around to where it should have been with Boston last year, when people were like, oh, this Boston team should win the championship because they have 7 or 8 guys that they could put on the floor every night, and none of those guys take anything off the table. They like all of their wings and guards could they could switch, they could dribble, pass, shoot, the whole, like 3-level scorers, the whole thing. And that almost got them to the championship. And there were a lot of people who thought it was going to be enough to get them to the championship. But then their kind of lack of a true point guard ended up hurting them. For the Knicks, I think when you go with Brunson, Randall, RJ is a little bit of the wild card. Call me a hater. I think he's a wild card. Hart, and I'm in no particular order, I should say. Hart, quickly, Grimes. That's 6 right there. And we haven't even, and the centers are their own thing, right? The centers are their own category. Like, that's an 8-man rotation. Nobody's, and again, as long as RJ's doing his thing and Randall's doing his thing, right? Randall's not exempt from this conversation either. Because both of those guys, the variability, the variations from good to bad, very high. Brunson, consistent. Quickly, consistent. Hart, consistent. Grimes, for the most part, consistent. If they could, that sort of consistent, multifaceted depth, I agree with you. There's not a whole lot of teams that have it. The one thing I wish they had that one big wing, really top-notch wing defender. Putting aside the superstar on offense conversation, I wish they had that one big-time wing defender, but it's okay. Thanks, Jacob. Appreciate it. That was good. Chris Carter, what's going on, Chris? Clyde said on the broadcast that the Pacers typically hang in games until the final 3 minutes, and what do you know? Yeah, they do, because they're good. They're a good team. They're well coached. Carlisle's a good coach. They got good players. They know what they want to do. Yeah, they're really good. Thanks, Chris. SB Gorilla, you are right. The future is very bright, but there's no way Obi should stay a Knick if Julius Randle is here. He needs to play. 32 points on 18 shots. Great game. Grimes, Quick, and Mitch. That's a nice starting lineup. Let's get 2 more. Let's go New York. Yeah, look, the marketplace is undefeated. So we will, if someone, and you could have said this last offseason, you could say it at the trade deadline. Say it this upcoming summer. Someone has to look at Obi Toppin and say, I'm going to make a bet on that guy, because the Knicks aren't going to give him away. They're not going to give him, they could have gotten a couple second-round picks this trade deadline, and they didn't want him. So, and good thing they didn't want him. Thanks, SB. Appreciate it. Jay Boogie, what's going on, Jay Boogie? Can we talk basketball all day as we do? Or we can talk basketball all day as we do. But I just wanted to let it be known that you deserve major flowers for the work that you provide every season. Thank you, my brother. Blessings, health, and happiness. Well, that was really nice, Jay Boogie. Thank you. I am fortunate to be able to do what I do. I appreciate you. Thank you. And I just hope people will keep listening to me so I can keep doing this. It's the only request I have. Robert Cross with another one. Legend of GMAC. Can we get an emergency live stream on the eve of the Knicks Cavs series? What is with him at the emergency live stream?
So again, Robert, an emergency live stream is not something you plan. It's prompt. It's an instant, in the moment emergency live stream. So if you're asking us to do a live stream on the eve of the Cavs series, we could, a pre-planned one. What I will say, we have planned out the preview week, we should say. We have something, every day of next week. So there will be a live stream. It won't be Friday, but there will be one this week. Check back with us Sunday when we finalized it, after the official last moment of the regular season, when we're here on Sunday, when we here on Sunday, talking about the end of the regular season and hopefully getting off in time so John can get his Easter dinner reservations.
We will be off in time because otherwise...
Listen, I may or may not also have some Easter obligations. Shout out Pastor Claudio's Obi Hive. So we both might be in the same boat there. Point is, we're finalizing the content schedule for next week. We'll make sure you all know it ahead of time so you can look forward to it. A lot of cool stuff. A lot of friends of the pod coming on to talk about the series against the Cavs. There's also some crossover stuff we're doing with the Chase Down guys, which should be fun. So stay tuned, Robert. Nothing emergency, but yes, something will be live.
I agree. Lunas and Marat. I don't know what they do with Obi, man. He's so good with minutes, but as long as Jules is here, I don't know. Guess these games help his trade value, but God, whoever gets him is buying low. Again, I hate to keep going back to the same point. The marketplace is undefeated. If Obi's value, if the league looks at this and sees a guy who could be a serious difference maker, you're not going to have the problem that you're saying, that whoever gets him is buying low. Because, again, there are situations where guys don't show they don't show what they're capable of in a given stop, and then a team will acquire them. They will buy low. And because they are betting on the talent, or they're betting on the character, or they're betting on the college film, or whatever the hell they're betting on, I don't know. And then that player will blow up with increased opportunity. That is not the situation here. The situation here is everybody has tape of what Obi Toppin can do and what Obi Toppin looks like when he's given a lot of minutes. So this is what my pushback always is. The notion that if his value is this, that what it seems like is being talked about, then there's going to be something of a bidding war for him this summer. Because if there are going to be multiple teams that want him, and if one of those teams offers X and X is very low, then the second team will offer Y, and Y will be higher. And then the Knicks could go to the third team and say, okay, we have offered X and offer Y. Are you willing to offer Z? And then it goes on and on from there. That's so if the opportunity is there to do that and they get a good enough offer, they'll do that. But that was not the case at the trade deadline, for sure. I can promise you that. And everybody had the tape of Obi Toppin finishing last year. So why do we think that Obi Toppin finishing this year in this way is going to make that big of a difference? That's my pushback. That's always been my pushback. JM, what's going on, Jay? Is Quentin Grimes playing his way into a trade this offseason? Quickly seems like he's untouchable, and he feels like other teams will push for Grimes over RJ after this. Well, they have to be willing to trade him. I mean, by pushing his way into a trade, has he elevated his game to the point where a team that is deciding to trade a superstar player is going to look at Grimes and being like, that's the prize, that's our main prize, like, to throw an absurd example out there, like Scotty Barnes was discussed last summer in the Kevin Durant context, right? No, I don't think Grimes has elevated himself to quite that level, but I mean, he's made himself, a really intriguing piece, and looking around the league at teams that have star talent that they may wind up trading. Yeah, I think there's an argument that Grimes has elevated himself ahead of certain players. Like we were talking about, like Portland, right? Has Anthony Simons. Are they ever going to put Anthony Simons on the table? Anthony Simons is an ungodly gifted offensive player. He's a very poor defender, and he's probably not a point guard. I don't know. If you're a team, would you rather have Anthony Simons or Quentin Grimes? No, I don't know. Is that a ridiculous statement? I don't think it's ridiculous. James Lee, what's going on, James? RJ's absence. It says a lot about him without him. I wasn't even thinking about that tonight. To me, it's funny, and it's crazy because I'm the one who defends Randall. I was more watching tonight and be like, no Randall tonight, huh? I didn't even think about RJ not being there. But, like, I don't know. They, like, again, what do you read into this? This was not even this was a YMCA game. Like, would RJ being in there kind of like slow the pace and maybe the ball doesn't whiz around as much? Sure. You know what I didn't check? I know what I wanted to check. How many assists did they have tonight? The Knicks tonight had, Jesus Christ. Now, granted, they scored 138 points and they made 52 field goals, but still, they had 34 assists, which I believe is either they tied their season high or it is their second highest total of the season. That's really good. 4 players in their starting lineup had 5 or more assists. Grimes had 5, Quickly had 9, Hart had 7, Toppin had 6. Whew. Man, they do share the ball. Brian with another one. Dear basketball gods, I'm 36 and I have loved this season more than any this century. God bless you. Me too. Please don't let it boil down to how long does Tibbs ride an ice cold Julius Randle while he hoists up his usual diet of tough shots. Come on, Brian. Like, again, I don't mean to be a stickler here, but what makes you think that would happen? He's been incredible this year, and I understand he was incredible 2 years ago. One, he was not nearly as incredible in terms of efficiency as this year. He's much more efficient this year. 2, his shot diet is a lot better. He took out a lot of those unsustainable long twos, and he's turned them into threes and shots closer to the rim. And 3, and most importantly, this team has Jalen Brunson now. They didn't have Jalen Brunson 2 years ago. So the notion that we're going to get possessions where Jalen, like, why that hasn't been a problem this year. And do you know why it hasn't been a problem? Because Jalen Brunson's on the team, and Jalen Brunson is the point guard. Like, have we flirted with bad Julius? Absolutely, we flirted with bad Julius. But the notion that he's going to turn into like the Titanic, I mean, again, the guy's been an all NBA level player this year. Come on. Frank Miranda, what's going on, Frank? What's up, Mac? It's your boy Frank from Patreon. Please let's not get it twisted. Obi's game is cute, but you need half-court players that can win one-on-one in the playoffs, and that is Randall. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. Don't be sorry, Frank. It's real talk. It's not to say that there are not transition opportunities in the playoffs. There can be transition opportunities, but teams bear down. They know what you want to do. You know that they know what you want to do. And that's why, like, playoff series that go the distance boil down to who's making more shots and who's executing. Like, those are the best playoff series. I mean, well, I don't know. Are they the best playoff series? I have a feeling that's what this playoff series is going to come down to. You know? So I'm more with you, Frank. Ja so focused. What's going on, Ja? How you doing? It's been a minute. It's been a minute. John, crying because I bet the Knicks plus 11 and Mathurin threw up that meaningless 3 to end the game. Oh man, I'm sorry. I didn't even know what the line was. I didn't pay attention to it. That sucks though. Ooh, sorry, dropped my phone. Ja focused with another one. Per Randall, I've said all year, any final positive evaluations from me will come after seeing his end of season play and playoffs. He failed the end of season evaluation. Well, again, it was a couple of games, though. So, really, we're doing this a couple of games. Let's see how he does in the playoffs. And by the way, if he's not in the playoffs for a certain amount of time and they look good, that counts. That counts. But we're not there yet. This was not a playoff game tonight. Ja, I think we've got some more from Ja. Oh, wait, no. First, it's 007 Angelo. It's up to Julius Randle's ankle if he's available or not. I agree. Here's another one from Ja, so focused. Envision this. Randle is out for the first round, but Obi... Oh, this is exactly what I was just saying. Randle's out for the first round, but Obi fills in amazingly and helps the Knicks win the series. Randle returns and disappoints. What do you do? My Lord. If that actually happened... I mean, you do the same thing that they're probably going to do anyway, which is keep the phone lines open, right? Like, they're going to keep trying to get better. And as many people have said this year, Brunson, that's a different story. Brunson ain't going anywhere. Randle, they don't want to trade him. They're happy with him, but he's not untouchable. Thanks, Ja. Trying to end positively. As you said, Randle has played amazingly for 3/4 of the season. If he returns to that in the playoffs, he should be a Knick for life. Yeah, I just really don't want to take for granted a guy who has been so good for a franchise that has not had many players this good. I understand. This is also Ja so focused. Sorry. Randle's been so good. That's all. I don't really have anything to say. Randle's been so freaking good. And we've had such crap here for so long. And, he's been and the other part of it is the 2 seasons that he's been really good. Those seasons have led to winning. That's what's important to me. Like, yeah, that's what's important to me. Sam Garcia's dad. Is it fair and reasonable to say that our future big 3 might be Jalen Brunson, Emmanuel Quickley, and Quentin Grimes? Don't be too quick to dismiss it. I'm going to be a little too quick to dismiss it because I don't believe there's enough shot creation there to win a championship. That might be their future big 3. I just don't know what the ceiling on that team is. And it's small. It's a small team. If those are if your 3 best players are Jalen Brunson, Emmanuel Quickley, and Quentin Grimes, your team is small. And I think you need a little bit of size, more size there somewhere. Thank you, though, Ray. Morpheus, what's going on? Morpheus 2969. Not saying Obi's better. It doesn't have to be either or. Julius doesn't have to play 38 minutes. Yeah, I completely agree. And and this was the knock last year. It was certainly the knock in the beginning of this year, where it felt like there was more meat on the bone for Obi and good opportunities to do so. And yet, tied into all of this is like you have this very, I don't want to call him mercurial. You have a player who is clearly, mentally at times can be a little shaky, and just trying to keep that guy on the straight and narrow and encouraged and feeling like, You have full belief in him. It's a tough situation to navigate. That's all I'm saying. Haitian Ferg, what's going on, Haitian? Thanks for the shirt. Anytime, buddy. I ordered 2 more. You're the best. I'm so hyped for this team. I can't wait to rock the Wii back. Y'all need to respect Randall. Obi ain't getting better. Or Obi ain't better. Obi might get better. But Haitian says Obi ain't better. Let's go Knicks. Yeah. Haitian, when have we ever disagreed? I don't know. You're my burner. Dom, what's going on, Dom? Dom Cappuccini, how are you, my friend? Since you guys compared this game more to a YMCA open gym than a playoff atmosphere, should I be more concerned about the free throw consistency than the defensive intensity? I did like the intensity in the last 3 games. I don't pay any attention. No, that's not true. I was watching it and I was like, and we were doing the playback and I was like calling it out like, that's a crappy closeout. That's a crappy closeout. That's a crappy closeout. And yet it's like, it was playground style. So like, you can't hate on it. I just see that to me is more the habits that I worry about going into the playoffs. As far as the free throw stuff, like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to do with the free throw stuff. They need to be better. But I don't think that has anything to do with this game. James Minkin, trade RJ and put Obi at the 3. I'm not sure if that is the path to defensive glory, is what I will say. SB Gorilla with another one. Thank you, SB. I get your defense of Julius Randle. The fans just don't trust him. I completely agree. I don't. And I know you don't. I'll get back to that in a second. The dude is an emotional cripple. Never know when he's going to fly off the hinge. Remember, number 8 picks get to play through mistakes. 25 minutes per game. Yeah, Obi has not gotten to play as much as most picks. It may very well have stunted his development. I mean, nobody's arguing that he has had a fair opportunity here. He has not. He hasn't. I'm not disagreeing with that. As far as whether I trust Randall, no, I don't trust him completely. But I'm also not out on him by any stretch. And I am willing to wholeheartedly welcome him back when he's back from injury. Because he's earned it. And he deserves it. You know, I have my fears. I do have my fears. But I said it whatever it was a month ago. He's our guy. And I stand by that. Hayden Freed. Could we have another 7-game winning streak this year? We're at 5 now, actually. I looked it up. I was included this in the newsletter. I had to take it out because the newsletter was too long, I think 2 days ago. But this is their actually their fourth winning streak of at least 4 games this year. The previous, I think 4 years or 5 years combined, they've had that many 4-game winning streaks. I think it was the previous 5 years combined. So, yeah. They had 1 4-game winning streak last year, and then the year before that, they had the 9-game winning streak, but nothing else longer than 3 games. Jesse with another one. Homegrown players always capture the love of fans, referring to Obi. Yeah, they do, which is what makes conversation so difficult about him and about Randall, because he's not homegrown. Profit Knicks TV. I would trade Randall for Mikal Bridges or Jeremy Grant. that makes us a contender. Mikal Bridges, yes. I'll praise Randall up and down. Would I trade Randall for Mikal Bridges in a freaking heartbeat? I think Mikal Bridges is about to have a very, very special run as an NBA player for several years, and two-way player. That's the difference. He's an elite defensive player, and he's a wing, so he's just an easier fit. You can play that dude at the 2, you can play that dude at the 4. Just so versatile and just scratching the surface of his talent. Also under a great contract, by the way, as is Randall. Jeremy Grant, I'm not with you on that. I'll take Randall over Jeremy Grant pretty comfortably. Busy with another one. What's going on, Busy? We are the 5th seed. Isn't it time to start thinking about building a contender? Of course it is. You admitted Randall isn't the guy, so why is it that far out to call for a trade of Randall? Well, we're at it. Trade number 9. Why do we... Well, no, hold on. I admitted Randall isn't the guy. I think you may be misinterpreting something. If I said something that implied that I did not think Randall could be a part of a contending team, I did not mean to imply that. Do I think Randall could be a number 1 on a contending team? No, I don't think so. But he could be a part of a contending team. I do think that there are fit issues, certainly, to say nothing of the sorts of questions that have come up on this, recently. But he could be like you don't. And again, I don't think I've ever said Randall's untouchable. But if you're going to trade him, you have to be trading him to make your team better. The days of the ham sandwich time is over. There's no more ham sandwich time. It is, if you're trading Julius Randle, you better be getting back something really good. That's it. That's all there is to it. And now another one for Busy. IQ, Quentin Grimes, and Obi, higher IQ natural ball players. We jokingly talked all year about RJ and Julius Randle's processing speeds. You know who we never say those things about? The other 3 guys. Ball moves freely and they cut. Yes, the offense is faster. They move freely. They as I just read off the assist total a minute ago, 34 assists tonight. One day after they had 31 assists. I know for a fact that is the best back-to-back assist totals they've had all year. Now, they are playing 2 tanking teams. It must be said. And you could move around a whole lot, and it may not lead to any points if you're playing a really good defense that cares about winning the game. You're not wrong. Randall this isn't his style of ball. And I also agree with you. This is a much more appealing style of ball. I just don't know if it translates as seamlessly against high quality opposition. Swaggy OG, what's going on in New York? What's going on in New York? I can't do a Windhorse impersonation. John Schildkraut, new KFS supporter. Much respect. Thank you. Appreciate it, John. I noticed Mitch played with extra fire and desire tonight. The chances he was inspired by Fred Katz's Pulitzer Prize winning or worthy D-Train expose. Let's freaking go Knicks. I can't wait for Cleveland. Me and you both. I don't know, man. I just think he liked getting the ball. I think Mitch liked getting the ball tonight. You gotta feed the beast. Gotta feed the beast. And good job by them that they did that tonight. Jacob Sklar. What's going on, Jacob? Went to the game tonight. First time seeing this team in person this year. Quickly is freaking sick. I love it. Thank you, Jacob. Glad you had a good time at the game. Thanks for chiming in. Adam K. Is it possible to lock this team up for the next 5 years? I'll say it again. I don't know if it's completely rational, but if you told me this is the team that I was going to get to watch for the next 5 seasons, I would sign up for it right now. Are we winning a championship? Almost certainly not. But it's a great squad. It's a great squad, and it's good. It's a good team. Sam Roth, what's going on, Sam? Hey, KFS. Thank you for a great season. I was at the game tonight. Huge turnout. When was the last time 3 Knicks scored 30 in a game? Let's keep this momentum in the playoffs. So it was in the late 70s. I think Popper tweeted it out. I'll go look for it again. I believe it was in the 78-79 season. And
you are correct. It was 1979.
1979, and the 3 players were Earl Monroe, Ray Williams, and Toby Knight.
There you go. That's actual trivia, by the way, Robert Cross. That's an inside joke from the playback. He kept saying, he actually teased us with like, let's do playback trivia at halftime. And then he asked us at halftime, who's the worst Knicks draft pick ever? It's like, that's a discussion question. There's no trivia to it. And he's like, all right, here's another trivia question. Do you guys think the Knicks will be fine without Randall in the first round? It's like, again, not a trivia question. So
he doesn't.
That actually was a trivia question, everybody.
He's a little slow on the uptake. 007 Angelo, Mac, off the top of your head. I'm already frightened to read the rest of this. Who would the guy be? Oh, like the man? Who am I trading for? What star am I trading for? Joel Embiid. Today, tomorrow, always. Joel Embiid. Sam Garcia's dad. How times have changed. Are there any other candidates for the NBA Executive of the Year besides Leon and the Cavs GM? Who are the top candidates for this year? I was just looking at Brooklyn would be a funny. Give it to Sean Marks.
So it's funny you say Brooklyn. I don't think Sean Marks is going to win. What's going to be really annoying is when Marks gets more votes than Leon Rose because of the tampering investigation.
No.
I'm telling you. I'm just telling you. The fact that Leon doesn't. It's a media voter award. Who does Leon Rose not talk to? That's just what's going to annoy me. I'm not saying it's going to be right. I'm just predicting the future. So Sacramento has a case.
I was about to say, you literally took the words out of my mouth.
Pretend I didn't say that. John, who do you think has a case?
Well, no, it's tricky because the Sabonis-Halliburton trade, which was a trade that there's still people who, even as Sacramento has been great this year, there's still people who think that was a bad trade. That happened last season, and like, what did he do since the summer? He traded for Herter, and they drafted, Keegan Murray.
Yeah, signed Malik Monk, hired Mike Brown.
Signed Malik Monk, hired Malik, signed Mike Brown, hired Malik Monk. Those are true.
I cannot believe.
You know who I'd give it?
Oh, okay, go ahead. Who do you got? I wonder if I think of the same person. Oh no, not Utah. Oh, who? that is like a fair question, a fair response, a fair idea. I was thinking Presti.
Yeah, but again, he didn't really make a whole lot of moves. The thing with Utah is look at what you got when you detonated your team. You got dude, Lauri Markkanen might make an all NBA team.
Can you give Executive of the Year to a guy whose team won 36, 38 games?
I don't think you could give him the award.
I say that, and I just suggested Presti, so fair. Gotta be honest, Leon should be.
I gotta tell you, Leon should be.
Not gonna lie, he really should be up there. Yeah. It's just also we understand how the voting works, With everything that they have to deal with in New York as a part of who they work for, the fact that they've been able to navigate all that may end up with the 11th pick in the draft, the 12th pick in the draft, and the 5 seed, and all these assets, and like rehabilitated Randall, and got Brunson in here.
Yeah, no.
And with with 2 back-to-back 25 picks in the draft, we're able to turn them into key rotation pieces.
But again, how much credit do you give to those things that happened years ago? It's a tough award to wrap your mind around.
Not firing Tibbs is another move that Leon Rose did. Like choosing to ride the storm and whatever influence you believe he had on changing the rotation,
right.
So, yeah.
see.
All right, 3 more.
Great. Josso focused. I wish I had the faith in Julius Randle that you do, Mac. He walked on water 2 seasons ago when we ignored the negativity going into the offseason. I hope you're right about this year. I hope so too. He's earned it. He's earned it. That's all it is. He's earned it. And is there a chance that I'll be proven wrong for maintaining faith? Absolutely. 100%. I'm not doing it right now.
It's 2 different arguments. It's not we think he's going to be great in the postseason. It's the way he's played this year. He's earned the right to prove whether he can play in the postseason or not.
That's the correct way to put it.
Please, everybody. Obi had a great night in the Saturday morning LA Fitness game in Indiana. Okay, this was awesome. I loved watching him getting out in transition, shoot so threes willy-nilly with confidence. Right, they had 3 guys in the starting 5 take at least 12 threes. I loved it. It was awesome. Game didn't matter. Literally in the standings, the Knicks won. They're still the 5 seed. If they had lost, they'd still be the 5 seed. If they win out, lose out, they're the 5 seed. This game did not matter. Yeah. Please go rewatch the Miami Heat game in Miami after Giancarlo said things were cute and the emotion that went up for that. The amount of tough shots the Knicks had to take against Butler and Bam that night. Randall had 43 and the game winner. And this is the guy that we're like, because I agree, like, if you can upgrade, yeah, you do that with everything. You do that with every player. I'll be honest, if you can upgrade the Jalen Brunson spot, you got to do it. But I don't want to. He's our guy. And I thought Julius had earned that credibility at this point. But no.
You know what? I think
here we are again.
That's the difference is like, can you upgrade Brunson? Yes. Does anybody want to? No. Can you upgrade Julius? Yes. Do people actually want to? Yes.
Of course.
Like, that's the difference.
Yes. Sorry, I had to get that. I've been sitting here watching this all night, and it's like,
no, I
thought he earned the right to be like, all right, now you get to decide what happens, your fate in the playoffs. And for everybody, it's like, well, he stumbled down the stretch because 2 games before the Orlando game wasn't the 5th highest scoring game in Knicks history.
Third.
Whatever, 3rd. It's even better, you know? Oh, Busy finally agrees with you on something.
Me and you agree on something finally. Bridges better than Randall. I don't know if he's better today. But I would trade Julius Randle for Mikal Bridges.
Mikal Bridges is outstanding. He's averaging 27 on basically 50, 40, 90 since
he is. I don't think he's the shot. I don't think he is the engine that Randall is right now.
Oh, better right now is, I mean, it's subjective. What do you need him to do? Like, I don't know if the Knicks would ask.
Huge part of the yes, massive part of the
same
conversation.
Thing. Yeah. So yeah. Hold on, there's more. More have come in.
JM. Randall's end of game shot selection this year still keeps me up at night. Yeah, he should not. That's not his happy place, and we've established that, and it has largely been taken away from him. The LA game, Chicago game, even the Miami was a difficult corner 3. Well, it wasn't a corner 3, but yeah, and he should have lost the ball by all accounts. Yeah, no, again, that's not his strong suit. Totally agree. Jesse M. Going to sweat through the Mavs Bulls on Friday. Hashtag Mavs pick.
What do we want in that?
What?
What do we want in that?
What do you mean? What do you want? You want the Mavs to? You want the Mavs have?
So we want the Mavs to win out? Because what I'm asking is there a way the Mavs can win out?
Oh, is there a way the Mavs could still get like the 16th pick? Yes.
Because they make the play-in and then
they make the play-in and they win both.
So I'm asking, is there a way they could win out but still miss the play-in?
Yeah, of course, because the Thunder.
Do the Thunder have the tiebreaker
over them?
So the Thunder have to win out. The Mavs have to win out. The Knicks end up with the 11th pick.
Well, so here's what it comes down to. So right now, Chicago, Dallas, and Oklahoma City all have the same record of 38 and 42. Dallas plays Chicago obviously on Friday. If Dallas wins that game and then wins its last game, which they will because it's against the San Antonio Spurs, they will obviously finish with a better record than the Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls, however, are already guaranteed a play-in berth. If the Chicago Bulls, with their, in this scenario, 30, and I think they finished against a terrible team, so let's call it a 39 and 43 record. If they win both play-in games and get in the playoffs, at that point, assuming the Mavs have not gotten ahead of the Thunder, put that aside for the moment, the Mavs will have the 10th spot in the lottery because the teams that will have been eliminated from the play-in will have better records than them, and the Bulls will have made the play-offs. If the Bulls get into the play-in with a worse record than the Mavs and can then get eliminated from the play-in, then they go below the Mavs, meaning closer to the number one pick in terms of lottery balls. And the Mavs get to the 11th spot in terms of the number of ping pong balls, which is what we want. And then there's the Oklahoma City part of it, which is if Dallas wins out and Oklahoma City loses one more game, then Dallas will be the 10th seed. And if you're wondering who Oklahoma City has left, they go to Utah, and then they close against Memphis. So, which is why I've been saying I think the Bulls are our best chance because there's a direct head-to-head matchup with Dallas and Chicago, and yeah, I just have a little bit more faith in OKC, even though they've just been losing a ton of games.
And apologies if I missed it. That game's in Dallas or in Chicago?
No, you didn't miss it. I didn't say it. I think
it's in Dallas. It's in Dallas.
It is in Dallas.
Yeah, they end the season with 2 home games at home against Chicago, and then on a back-to-back for the Spurs against the Spurs.
It's right there for them. And again, and that game, I don't know the current tiebreaker scenario between Chicago and Toronto, but I do know that Chicago cannot catch Atlanta. So Chicago is definitely relegated to the 9-10. And Toronto has some tough games left. They have Philly, and then they finish with at Boston. Who the hell knows whether either of those games or either of those teams are going to be trying. But let's just look up real quick because this is going to influence how hard Chicago tries. Toronto.
Boston won't be there. They're locked into 2.
Who is?
Boston. They're locked into 2. They're 3 up on Philly, 3 behind Milwaukee.
So Chicago has the tiebreaker against Toronto. Oh wait, no, hold on. Sorry, 2-2 regular season series. So then it comes
conference?
down. No, then it comes down to conference or division. First tiebreaker between non-division opponents.
It's who wins their division is the tiebreaker.
Well, neither of them is going to win their division.
And it's conference record. And it figures Chicago is 26-25, and Toronto is 25-25. We are in the weeds on these standings. So I think the best case scenario right now is that the Mavs win out.
You know what?
And then OKC wins out.
The Bulls are going to be trying in that game. I think
on Friday.
Yeah, because they could get the tiebreaker.
Oh, because then they could host the playing game rather than
because then they could host the playing game, and you never know. Philly, Boston, maybe they want to. Maybe they try against Toronto. I think Chicago's gonna be trying in that game on Friday.
2 more.
Okay. Jocelyn Fergus agreed. He's earned the right. Just don't trust him. That's fair. That's fair. Totally fair. Completely. And then Anthony Sixto. Game 7, down 3. Brunson is doubled. IQ is on the bench. Well, there's your first mistake. Quickly's not on the bench. Tibbs is screaming. The ball swings. Who do you want taking the shot? Hart, RJ, or Grimes? Hashtag Iguodala. Who do I want taking that shot? That's a great question.
I know where Anthony's going with this.
Where?
Oh, I didn't see the Hart, RJ, or Grimes because Anthony is the originator of the Ride with Randall hashtag in the chat. Basically, be like, other than Randall, who you going with?
I got to tell you, man, Josh Hart, he hasn't missed a big 3 yet since he's been here.
Mm-hmm.
And also RJ has hit a lot of big 3s.
He has.
And yet, I got to tell you, my gut instinct when I saw it was Grimes. So I'll go with Grimes.
Grimes it is.
All right.
Oh, apparently I missed one. Let me go back and get it. I apologize.
Go for it. As the Lakers are currently on a 17-3 run.
Oh, they're back in the game.
To turn what was a 24-point deficit into a 10-point deficit. Interesting.
So what's the score right now?
It is now 79-71. I believe
right.
you could make that a 19-3 run.
Did we read this one already?
No.
Okay.
GD Nation. The number one song on June 14th, 2018 was Post Malone's Psycho. It was probably playing at RJ's prom on his 18th birthday. That was like yesterday.
This is basic. I think this is to say how young RJ is.
Yeah, he is young.
Yeah.
And development is not linear.
What was the number one song on your 18th birthday, John? Did they have music back, like radio and stuff?
Do you want me to ask Siri like right now?
Sure. Number one song. Oh, now I'm gonna look it up. That's how I wrap up, everybody. Look at our number one songs on 18th birthday.
Hold on.
You can just Google.
What was my
right?
18th birthday? May 10th, May 10th, 2001. Siri, what was the number one song in the country on May 10th, 2001? Sorry, I don't have charts for that date. This is really frustrating. How do I even do this? Billboard number one?
I've got mine. I'll look yours up. Mine was Promiscuous by Nella Furtado and Timberland.
That song came up a couple times on a playlist I had on in the car the other day.
And it's May 10th. What? I thought you were May 9th, by the way.
No.
Oh, May 10th, 1930. What? Come on, I'm fucking with you. It's 2001, right?
Oh, this is annoying. I don't like this song. It's All For You by Janet Jackson.
I like this song. Yeah, Janet.
I don't like it, and the reason I don't like it is it was because it was a song that like was such an easy song to put on in a bar for many, many years, and so like I heard that song so many freaking times when I worked in bars, and it's a song that just gets old eventually. So I don't love All For You.
See, this is our age gap because I'm 13 this year and discovering the things I prefer in life. And
you prefer Janet Jackson?
At that age, yes. Absolutely.
It's good preference.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you everybody for tuning in to another edition of the Knicks Film School postgame. Don't forget, if you dig the show, leave us a 5-star rating, or you can write a little review if you are so inclined. We appreciate those. Those help us out very much. We will be back for what do we got coming up the rest of the week?
Casual Friday is the next big thing. I've got a pregame pod that I'm recording tomorrow for Friday. So we will be doing a pre and post game
Pelicans
for the Pelicans game. John will be doing it from a different location. By the way,
yes,
your Amazon thing got sent down there today.
I should probably pack my microphone too.
Yes, that would be a very good idea. Since I sent a mic stand down there, you should take a microphone down there. So we've got plenty of content throughout the week. Study hall on Saturday at 2 p.m. But obviously we'll wait until Friday to really plug that. So at least until Friday's post game, plenty of content coming up on the feed, like it's a normal week, even though these games still do not matter.
Giddy up. Thanks everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Peace out.